Hey guys, once again, my podcast stepped off for a minute. There's a lot that has to be done with this. It's more than what you think it is. I am so elated to come before you once again. Needed to make a correction on yesterday. I said something. I worked 5 days. It was actually four in prison. Either way, I was tired. Okay. Um, I wanted to encourage you today to believe in yourselves. Because if you don't believe in you, ain't nobody else gonna believe in you. You have to keep striving no matter what you go through. We was in my third and a half or fourth year prison sentence. So I began to take psychology classes, and I began to um, I began not only to take psychology classes to study a little bit of the mind, the mindset, but I got a psychologist, and I was able to open up to him about all my pain and most of the pain, not all of it, but a lot of it. I was able to open up. I saw a healing process begin to take place. Did my troubles stop? No, they did not. I had to go to medical where I was diagnosed that I had a brain tumor. Went out to the eye doctor. It wasn't a brain tumor. It was a baby stroke, pen stroke. Later on that year, I had some toes that had to be low bone. The bones in my toes had to be cut out because it was during going state boots. So just because I was seeking God's face, it didn't mean that my troubles weren't going to stop. It didn't mean that. It was preparing me for life that troubles will come. You see, so at times I didn't understand, like, Lord, I'm trying to get close to you. I'm trying to make this prison sentence. But why am I going still through stuff? Because I'm not asking you to go home no more. Sure, I would like to go home, because I'm always real with God because He know what I'm thinking before I even say it. So, no, I'm not asking you to go home no more. I'm just asking you to keep me and give me a relationship with you. Let me know you because you're the only one going to bring me out of this. You're the only one that can bring me out of this. So I began to take positive classes. During that year, I became affiliated with Narcotics Anonymous because of the way that I speak. I speak with a boldness and I speak with a realness. I actually became the chairperson for Narcotic Anonymous, and that was something that actually gave me more elevation. Later on in that year, some people heard me speak. I began to speak at church services, and at one point they was calling me Little TD Jakes because I speak with a boldness, I speak with a realness, I speak with a motivation. You know, I don't know. I don't honestly, y'all. I don't. Anybody that know me know I don't too much know nothing about being fake. I ain't with all that. I speak. I say it the way it is. I call it what I see it the way I see it. I'm a lot more tactful now that I've gotten older, but I've always been who I am. If I'm doing this here, ask me. You ain't got to go ask. You ain't never got to ask nobody else. Ask me, cause I'll tell you. I don't need a mediator to say what I got to say. If they say Pam said this, that's why I ain't never been really mixed up in that you saying, I saying, she said, they say, why they say. I ain't never had no problem with that because guess what? I'm gonna tell you what I got to say. Now, if it hurts your feelings, I'll come back and say, I apologize that it hurt your feelings, but I said what I had to say. Because you ain't got to worry about nobody. And if somebody came to somebody back in the day and say, Pam said this, ask her. If I say I ain't said it, they know I ain't said it. Because I'll tell you what I got to say. But anyway, with that being said, God began to elevate me. He began to elevate me. Now, all the prayers I was praying to go home and all that, that wasn't his purpose and his plan. His plan was to change my mindset. Because one day I was going to go home. Okay? So during the course of that third year, fourth year, I was pretty all right. Like I said, my sissy, her parents had adopted me. Actually, her mom's died right after my mom's, but her dad was still living. So he carried on the tradition of adopting me as his black daughter. And when he sent his daughter money once a month, he sent me my little $25 too. So, I was pretty okay. Then every now and then, somebody from the street would send me some money. I can't forget about my older sister. She didn't have a lot. She remembered periodically that her sister was in prison and she would send me a little money. So Sharon Lovett, thank you. I never forgot that. It means the world to me still. I trying to think of somebody else, that frequently met a lady named Joanne Liggins, and because I was writing her son, me and her became real close. And I mean, we talked about the word. I was skeptical about that phone. I really didn't want to call her, but she wanted me to call her, so I put her on my phone list, and we would communicate pretty regularly about the word of God. At one point, that was the first visitation I got. She sent her pastor, and she didn't know that he was a little not right. I was so happy. That was my first visitation. I hadn't been locked up almost 4 years, and everybody was cheering me on. I mean, it came through the middle of the week, and I had visitation, and I had never had visitation. Well, when I got the visitation, like I said, we wore makeup and we were very pretty women. Back then, I was a lot smaller, still thinking I'm a little cutie. So I went up to visitation. And this man proceeded, first he started talking about the Lord and everything. And he started asking me sexual, explicit stuff. Now, I'm happy to be in visitation, but sir, you sitting up here, you supposed to be a pastor and you asking me about sexual stuff? That's what you drove all the way from South Carolina to Hawkinsville to talk about sexual stuff? So I was a bit deterred about that. When I got back to the dormitory after counter, I called Joanne. I told her, I said, your pastor, he's a little freaky, ain't he? So she said, girl, what he asked you? I said, I told her what he asked me. What do I do? How do I handle my sexual frustrations? Pastor, you're not supposed to ask me that. So I didn't get a visit. My next visitation was maybe another year or so. We'll get into that later. But me and her were really good friends because of her son. I was writing her son, who was maybe 10 years younger than me, but at the time I looked just as young as him. So he knew my age because I ain't fake with nobody. If whatever my age is, I'm gonna tell you. So I let him know that he could not be no more than a pen pal. He was just really sweet young guy, and me and his mom became friends. That was the plan. That was the goal. Everything is not for that person. It could be something beyond that God is working out, and he did. And so we became friends. I mean, my entire prison sentence, actually. Joanne has always kept in contact with me. But haven't heard from her in a couple of years, but I pray that she's okay. Haven't been to South Carolina. Me and my husband went up there when we got married, but that's another story. We're going to stay on the subject. But anyway, about going into my fourth year, I was getting better. I was chairing meetings. I was ministering. I was living who I say I was. Did I still not feel pain in my heart? I would be telling you guys a lie if I said I didn't, because I did. I still felt some pain. I did. I thought about my kids, and later on that year, I would finally let go of my emotions, because I know I had to do their time, and I couldn't do it holding on to them. At one point, I wanted them to come to, we could have had our kids to come once a week. And one of my dearest friends, her aunt was the transporter for Savannah. And I asked their adopted mom, could I see them? Because they would grow up, with me, while I was doing time. And she said it wasn't in their best interest. So I think that's when I had to let go. I had to wait till whenever the sentence is over and continue to pray for them that they would be okay. But it was putting more and more distance between us because they didn't know me and I didn't know them. I didn't know what they like. I didn't know their favorite colors anymore. I didn't know what they feel. My son, he was in and out of prison at this time. And I still praying for him because now I know what my mama said was true. Prayer will change things. It might not change your circumstances right now, but it will change the way you feel about it. It don't always change your circumstances. Don't believe that when you pray, it's going to change that exact circumstance, but it's going to change your mindset, the way you feel about it, so you can get through that circumstance. And eventually it'll go away. That's what I believe. Now, I'm not on this podcast to tell you what you should believe, because you need to have a relationship with Christ. Because on the day that we die, all of us going to stand before him. All of us will stand before him. I'm going to answer for me. You're going to answer for you. So I'm trying to stay out all that spiritual stuff because I see so much stuff on these podcasts. This pastor against this pastor, that pastor against that pastor, that one talking about that one. Should we all be striving for the purpose? Though I'm just throwing that out there. Y'all shoot me some comments about this particular thing before I go back to what I'm talking about. That's not what my podcast is about. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say. If I'm wrong, correct me. Correct me. Don't come correcting me the wrong way, because I ain't that. God's still dealing with me on some things as a minister of the gospel. I see things and I'm going, look at God, look. Them your churn. What's wrong with them? Them your churn, Daddy. Daddy, fix them, Daddy. That's all That's all I can say. Daddy, fix it. I mean, because some things I'm keep that to myself right now. But so anyway, entering into that fourth year, God began to elevate me. I remember my sister telling me one day, she said, when I came home, she said, my older sister, Sharon, she said, you remind me of a female Joseph. I said, why you say that, baby? She said, because they threw you in a pit, but you came out. I said, yeah, is that right? And so when I was able to preach my first sermon on this past August, I told the congregation that God had prepared me for a time such as this. And he was preparing me then. He was preparing me then. Rarely did I don't remember, but maybe 3 arguments, never got into a fight. 3 arguments. Because I'm not going to play the weak part now, because I live around 1,000 females. You can't be weak. Baby. You can't be weak. But you can't show no fear, because you got to remember now, these ladies got some things that they've done, just like yourself. You can't show no fear. You can't show no fear. But I just didn't put myself in that type of predicament. I was set now. I'm set now. Suicidal ideations might come every couple of years. I ain't thinking about no suicide now. I'm trying to get up out of here. And I remember too, I'm gonna tell you young ladies something. I'm gonna say this to y'all. It was something my mama told me, and I ain't believe that. But I'm gonna tell y'all something I did in prison. I'm gonna tell y'all something I used to do in prison. Like when my roommate was at her detail, and I would be there alone, I would hit that concrete floor. It's waxed. I would hit that cold concrete floor. And I remember my mom used to tell me when I was young, she was like, if you want a husband, pray for one. And I used to tell her back when I was young, girl, I ain't praying for no husband. I can go in the club and get any one of them I won't darn near. So I remember hitting that concrete floor, and I would hit that concrete floor, and I would tell the Lord, honestly, from my heart, my children gone, my mama gone. God, I ain't got nobody. I'm ready to be submissive. I'm ready to be committed. Something I ain't never wanted to be in my life. I'm ready to be committed. I'm ready to love somebody and be in love. I said, but one thing I want you to do, God, give me somebody that's going to love me as much as you do and my mama did. That's what I would tell him. I kept praying there. Had I met the man yet? No, I hadn't met him yet. We're gonna get into that after this part, later on in this podcast. But God heard that prayer when I came home. I want y'all to know that. Met him 2 weeks after that. Married him 5 months after that. And we still married. And our situation, I'm gonna talk about that later on my podcast. I'm gonna actually interview him for a podcast. But I wanted y'all, you young women, I want y'all to know that when I was young, out in the streets before I went to prison, like I said, I didn't know how to love. Love was painful. Love was hurtful. I didn't know how to love. And then when I did try to get what the meaning of love and a relationship with a spouse and all that, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I was looking for it in the wrong places. So a lot of that in my life caused some of the stuff that I did in my life. You can't be in love with a lot of pain in your mind. You can't fully love, honestly. I'm just, from my perspective and what I've been through, the rapes and molestations and abuse, physically and mentally, that's too much trauma in your mind to love another person right now. You got too much garbage. Well, I ain't gonna talk about y'all. I'm gonna say about me. Y'all leave the comments. I had too much garbage. I certainly, like other women would say, no, not really, not back then. I ain't caring about no love. But anyway, back to prison. As I said, I started to the transition was being made by my fourth year. The transition was being made, y'all, and I was embracing it. I was embracing it too, and I was grateful. I was grateful that it was being made. So we're going to discuss later on in the week. We're going to discuss my fifth and sixth year sometime this week, and I'm gonna try to finish up the 10 years, and then we're gonna go to something else to hopefully motivate my young women, to hopefully motivate my people in general, to deter you from this. I don't think nobody should have to go through this. I want you to have peace. Right now, peace is priceless. Oh, it's priceless. I ain't got to have a dime. I don't worry about who like me, who don't like me, who coming to see me. Do I need to be around somebody? I guess, ooh, Mr. Houston, Mr. Pamela Sanders Houston got so much peace in her life. It's priceless. I'm telling you, I don't even want to distort it. Honestly, I don't like even, I'm back during the way I was in prison. I don't even too much talk on the phone. I shoot my loved ones a text. Because it might be something come over them airways through my ear, through my hearing that I don't want to hear. And guess what? I might respond to it because I'm human. I live in a human body. I stay, out on the outskirts of Savannah. I like, I like it. Because ain't nobody going to really pop up like that. I'm not a pop-up person. I love everybody. Like I said, I pray that we all make it. Going to enjoy the rest of my Sundays. I want you guys to enjoy yours as well. My motto for the day is, and has always been, I'd rather reach for the moon and miss than aim for the gutter and make it. Stay real, guys. Love y'all.